Alright there geezers, Jules here from FGS, home of the Future Games Show. And you know what? Much like when my neighbours decide to have a barbecue on the one day of sun that we get here in Wales, and then I decide that now would be a great time to blast Mother of Mercy's World of Pain on repeat, sometimes suffering is what's on the menu. Also, I realised that I've got a green screen up here at the moment. It's because I'm doing some repair work on the wall behind me and I just didn't finish it in time, so you're going to have to suffer through that as well. Enjoy! Sorry, not sorry though, because first of all, Mother of Mercy's World of Pain is a belter of a song, even though I do admit that eating a hot dog would now be much harder with all of this anger and resentment slopped on top. But still, when it comes to video games, suffering isn't as actively condemned as it is in other walks of life. And you don't need to look hard to find examples of people playing tough games for fun and others who will make hard games even harder for themselves with self-imposed challenges. Like my mate Nico Hart, for example, who dismantled some Elden Ring bosses using a controller built with a DSLR camera. What? These are the types of people who take enjoyment from suffering and will put themselves through the ringer only to come out the other side absolutely laughing their asses off. So, to help these unhinged souls, I've compiled a list of games that I found to be so utterly soul-crushingly difficult that I urge, nay, want, no, need was actually better there, you to play. And you know the drill, this is the Deep Cut with Jules Gill, baby! So expect to see games you've not heard about, thought about in a while, or just need to know more about. So let's have a chat about 8 soul-crushing video games that I need you to play. Yeah, so like I say, don't go in expecting to see the likes of Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Unchained, or what is it, Chained Together, I don't know, Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, or Celeste, because you know what? They are too obvious! Anyway, let's kick things off with number 8. Number 8, The Textorcist, the story of Bibbia. Okay, my friends, I won't lie to you here. Yay! Despite having an English master's under my belt and I don't know, about 1,000+ videos on YouTube that have been penned by these gnarled yet disturbingly soft hands, I find typing using a keyboard a pain in the carpal tunnel. And I don't know what it is, but sometimes it will take me a few good tries to type out a sentence in full, often having to delete a ton of rogue letters that have swarmed my lines thanks to these stupid hands. Therefore, when The Textorcist, the story of Bibbia, came along with its text-centric bullet hell gameplay, it was basically like confronting your high school bully, but here you've already pre-p***ed your pants and called the teacher mum 10 seconds before. I was in for a beatdown. Now this is a game that takes no prisoners while also asking you to spell it as well, because in order to deal damage to enemies you need to recite Bible scripture, all the while trying to avoid demons, devils and the occasional ghoul from turning your innards into outards. Plus things only get harder the more the game progresses, with you then having to brush up on your Latin as the needed quotes switch from English. However, before you start to think that this is going to be like Master Chief Teacher's typing, let me be clear about something. This game kicks ass. The soundtrack is utterly wonderful, the plot is over-the-top silly in the best ways possible, and the feeling of nailing an exorcism with perfect timing and finger accuracy, well, it's kind of unlike anything else. I mean, sure, you'll die over and over and over again, and yeah, maybe you'll want to start typing your own obituary after coming a hair's breadth from killing a boss, but you know what, that's just the nature of the beast. For those that can persevere though, well, they may have just found their new favourite boss rush game. Number 7, Intelligent Qube. So now we've got the fingers warmed up, let's do the same with our brain cells, and by that I mean let's stick our heads into a microwave and whack that thing onto maximum, as Intelligent Qube with a Q is here to test puzzle fans to their limits with an That's the sound of your brain dying, by the way. The objective of this weird and often forgotten PS1 game is relatively simple. Clear the cubes that stomp their way towards you by marking panels and then activating them as soon as they land on it. However, things soon ramp up with the cubes moving at different speeds, some that act like bombs, and of course the dreaded Forbidden Cube! I mean, seriously, that sounds a bit like a Garth Marenghi bit, doesn't it? Whatever you do, don't open that Forbidden Cube! In short order, you'll be racing your little polygonal pal all around the stage, exploding cubes, avoiding being crushed, and expertly timing when to activate your Yu-Gi-Oh! Style trap panel in order to make it through. But trust me, my friend, after the few introductory levels, the game takes no prisoners, and you'll soon not only be clearing cubes, but having to run through a rolling maze while doing so, as if you destroy the wrong blocks or let too many fall off the stage, well, the stage itself gets shorter, making things even harder. With its weird visuals, tone, and oppressive gameplay, Intelligent Qube is like a nightmare come to life, and if you let it in, well, it's going to invade your dreams for weeks and months after. And speaking of dreams, my friend, I'm bloody living it right now. I mean, not necessarily right at this point, seeing as it is 8:30 in the morning and I'm pretty tired, but I'm still part of a wonderful team called the FGS YouTube team, and we have surpassed a mighty 150,000 subscriber goal as of the time of recording. So I just want to say thank you very bloody much. So why not jump on this rolling wave of gaming content and subscribe right now? Do it right this second. That's it. It was a threat that kind of went to a more positive place. I shouldn't have really gone down that avenue, but still, thank you very much for your support, and I hope the rest of you jump on board. Number 6, Shatterhand. Now, when one thinks of hard video games, the old heads in the back, myself included, will likely think of one phrase in particular, and no, it's not the 90s commercial jingle of I feel like chicken tonight. Like chicken tonight. I'm speaking, of course, about the epitaph that has buried many gamers back in today, NES hard. Games like Ninja Gaiden, Battletoads, Contra, and many more wore this tagline with a sadistic pride because they would, at every turn, try and force-feed you a controller through your eyeballs with soul-crushing difficulty. From endlessly respawning enemies, vicious level design, and of course a heaping good old dose of bullshit, these games were injected with something akin to a true resentment of any player actually being able to try and beat them fairly. Yet one game that often gets lost in the shuffle when talking about these waking nightmares is Shatterhand, and I feel like this is a true shame because not only is this game a true challenge to get through, but it's also bloody brilliant. What separates this title from the pack, outside of it being far more obscure, is that you're not actually alone on this adventure to kick ass, take names, and then find the asses that belong to those names and kick them as well, as you can acquire power-ups in the form of robotic buddies. These prototype pod weapons from Nier Automata potato patata, come in many different forms, some with sniper-like shooters, other with blades, and of course, some with the most deadly of all weapon, rotating balls! Ooh, dizzy now. Watch out, lads, he's bringing the balls! Seriously though, this weapon actually sucks. It has a pitiful range and you can barely hit anyone with it. Still though, it's fun. Anyway, for the most part, these buddies plus your own arsenal turn you into such a meat machine that you might as well pop also good as an abattoir on your business cards. Yet, it's here that the real joy of Shatterhand comes to the fore, as while you may be beefed up to the nines, your enemies are still relentless, deadly, and always waiting to hit you with a bloody cheap shot. Therefore, Shatterhand takes what would be a truly unfair NES platformer and gives you just enough spice to make it feel like a challenge that you can just about climb, and as a result, it becomes a compelling piece of gaming history. Number 5, Alephant. Okay, let's get linguistical, my dudes, as it is time for another puzzle game, but this time the twist is you are tasked with connecting the first and silent letter of the Hebrew alphabet with other sound tiles in order to communicate. Oh, and I should probably have mentioned you are also an elephant. I mean, obviously, come on guys, what are you thinking? That this is a language-centric puzzle game without an elephant? You've embarrassed yourself right there.
Hey, they're playing the elephant song! I love that. Reminds me of elephants.
Now the gameplay itself could be boiled down to just being another block pusher title, but things turn from delightful to devious in moments when you realise that linking up said blocks based on where the dot is on the sound tile is far more challenging than it looks. As you work your way through the alphabet, you'll learn to push pairs of blocks, use sound tiles to rotate others, work around clumps of tiles that you've grouped together, and then on top of all of this, find a way to exit the level properly. And just when you think you're getting a hang of things, the game will then spring a puzzle on you with so many individual parts and processes that even the video game The Witness is starting to sweat heavily. However, while the gameplay might test you to your limit, the visuals and soundtrack are so beautifully peaceful that you'll have your spirits lifted and refreshed just by pausing for a few moments to piece things together. That said, the last few sections are an utter nightmare, so you might end up as an elephant who never forgets
To kill!
Bloody loved old Futurama me. Number 4, Maimai Finale. Okay friends, it's time for some real chat, or as it's known here, story time with the egg. What will Jules talk about next? Now, you see, last month, me, Phil Chambers from What Culture, and a few friends went together to see Billy Talent here in Cardiff. And wouldn't you know, we had a bloody great time. But then after the other lads had gone, Phil and I decided to hit the town. And by that, I mean that we went to NQ64, which is a video game bar, where we indulged in the local bevs and played SmackDown 2 and Mario Kart. But then, in the corner of my eye, I spotted something, a game that I'd never seen before, and my lord did it look intriguing. Now basically it kind of looked like a cross between a washing machine and a portal to every weeb fantasy ever. It was called Maimai Finale, and it's a rhythm action game with a touchscreen support, and my sweaty crack is this game tough. Not only do you have to follow the patterns on screen with your fingertips, you have to tap the buttons as the icons pass through them, and sometimes you have to basically, it looks like you're just trying to grope the entire cabinet in order to score bonus points. You're just like, it feels wrong. It feels very, very wrong. It was also utterly wild, extremely difficult to play, even on the normal difficulty, and of course, I absolutely sucked at playing it. And yet, thanks to its massive song library, weird controls, and constant abuse of your senses, I just couldn't bloody step away. I mean, seriously, if you like rhythm action games, then give this a go if you can locate a cabinet. You will feel like you and your limbs have just had a severe falling out, because you'll just start cursing them, like, why are you not doing what I want you to do? And they're just insane pattern generation in this game. And yet, you'll still want to play more of this, because this game has this ineffable charm that begs you to play more, even while it slaps you in the face at every given moment. Number 3, Evilmorph. Now, much like somebody hurling a much beloved Hasbro board game at you, sometimes life can come at you real quick, and in video game, death is only a footstep behind this. And these two concepts risk spiraling out of control when it comes to the punishing indie platformer Evilmorph. I say this because the central gimmick in this 2017 title is that you shapeshift into every enemy you kill, meaning that if you can't get through a certain section or over an obstacle, then there's likely an enemy nearby that possesses the skills and abilities you need. The problem is, however, is that it's not like they're going to give up these powers willingly, and so you need to not only best them, but do so while still avoiding all of the stage hazards. And even when you do get the abilities you need, the game is so crushingly difficult, it could take about, I don't know, 100 or so attempts to thread the needle. This is basically a horrific fusion of Super Meat Boy and Mario Odyssey's hot swapping mechanic, but also with some added spelunky traps thrown in for good measure. Oh boy, I'm dead, fantastic. And this is without even covering the boss battles that you'll face, which oh my lord, please take the keys to my house because you're apparently already squatting here rent free. These guys take the concept of a difficulty spike and bloody impale you with it. And if I'm being truly honest, they do sometimes veer off the line of being challenging and into just being actively unfair a few times. But still, as a game that delivers on its concept, I can't recommend Evilmorph enough, as the idea of knowing which enemies to kill and when to do so, on top of some brilliantly devious level design, really just is engaging. All you gotta do is just get used to drinking a salty cocktail that has your own tears as a garnish when taking on these bosses, because, well, you've been warned. Number 2, the Kingsfield franchise. Okay, my friends, it is once again time to jump into the egg-shaped time machine and travel back to an era known as the origins of From Software. As while they are rightly known as the gods of Git Good, with the likes of Bloodborne and Elden Ring being some of the best gaming experiences going, this is actually a song and dance that they've been perfecting for years. This, my friends, right here is the Kingsfield series, a franchise that laid the groundwork for future titles like Demon's Souls and of course Dark Souls thereafter. And it is one that is so wonderfully ropey, filled with jank and absolute that I'm genuinely shocked that more Souls fans haven't played it, and in some cases haven't even bloody heard of it. Kingsfield nails every single track from, now that's what I call absolutely annoying, from the FromSoft playlist. From mechanics seemingly designed to be anti-fun, frustrating camera controls, and deaths that come from something as simple as walking into the wrong pixel. And yet, does so in a way that feels utterly enchanting. It's wonky, it's busted, and is so open to player abuse that if you know you're min-maxing, you can utterly dominate every title in short order, and therefore, it's everything that Souls fans will love, and then some. If you can get over its Roblox-like graphics and storylines that are somehow even more confusing than Souls lore at times, there are multiple titles here that will break your spirit but breathe life into your gaming sessions. Enjoy! At number 1 we have Natural Doctrine. And so we close on a game that I wager barely any of you have played, thanks to it both selling like absolute smelly arse and also being a bit of a farter to actually play. But I do seriously think that those looking for a challenge should huff up every stanky note of this mightily obscure game known as Natural Doctrine. Now, if I wanted to sell this game to you right quickly, I'd just say that this is Dark Souls but delivered through the lens of Final Fantasy Tactics, and to be honest, if the dev team had done the same here, it would have likely resulted in far better sales. However, that would be massively oversimplifying what this game has to offer, which itself weirdly can be summed up in just one word. Pain. Lots of pain, unending pain, sexy pain, but ultimately bring an umbrella as you're about to enter the painy season. This is because the game is unrelentingly tough, with you seeing a game over if even one of your party dies. And it's also got a supremely complex linking system that requires characters to be standing in specific areas and fulfilling battlefield duties and then activating them in a specific order, which in turn boosts their abilities to overpowered degrees. It sounds great, but in practice, oh god is it a head scratcher. Add in the ability to use your allies as shields, position them behind cover to block attacks, or use line of sight to sneak around the board, and you have a tactics game that rewards planning about like 10 steps in advance. Yet what makes this so utterly punishing is that the enemy can make use of every trick, trap and misdirection that you can, meaning that you'll often be fighting battles that feel like they're against other players rather than just the AI. Yet this is what makes Natural Doctrine such an alluring gem, that each battle, while being a slog in some cases, results in either a glorious nail-biting victory or a defeat that teaches you something utterly invaluable. It may not be for everyone, but for those looking to twist the nipples off a tactics game, well, they might have just found their salacious needs met right here. And there we go, my friends. Those were 8 soul-crushingly difficult video games I need you to play. I hope you enjoyed that, and let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. And if you want to chat to me on the social medias, you can follow me over here and my lovely editor Mark over here as well. But before I go, I just want to talk about something a little different, because even though we spoke today about soul-crushing difficulty, let's lift the spirits by just reminding ourselves one thing. We're all big ledges. We all deserve love, happiness, and success, and do not let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise, all right? You are a massive ledge. Get out there, smash your life goals, because I bloody believe in you and you need to believe in yourself as well. Right, that's it from me today. Big love to you all, and I'll speak to you soon. Hopefully, sans bloody green screen over here. Apologies, Mark. I imagine this was an absolute to wear this around.